Find Strength. Today, we actually begin a week-long series dedicated to exploring the trials that really make us tough.
After all, it really is during those difficult times that people say they find strength that they didn't know that they had. And that was actually the case for popular local blogger Courtney Kedrick. She recently opened up about a very private and personal trial, sharing how she found strength during a divorce.
I just love to write.
Her words are raw.
I wanted a place where I could write and not have to self-edit.
Her writing real.
I'm getting to a point where I'm okay with being really personal.
Courtney Kendrick, known in the blogging world as C. Jane, isn't afraid to get personal in her posts, often opening up about sensitive subjects others shy away from.
I don't regret anything I've written.
But recently she tackled what she says was her toughest topic yet, sharing with readers the grief and growth she experienced when her first marriage fell apart.
Yeah, my heart was breaking. My heart was breaking. It was sad. The night I became engaged for the first time was really exciting. I wanted to be engaged. I wanted to get married. And that night, I really hoped these feelings would last. But when I woke up in the next morning, it felt like my soul had frozen over.
But a then 23-year-old Courtney put on the face and forced the excitement of a young bride, despite warning and worry from family and friends.
I think the whole time I knew it probably wasn't the best choice for me, but I was, at that point, I was probably more concerned with the social implications of calling it off.
Courtney moved forward with the marriage, but 7 months after it began, she knew it needed to end.
It was so soon. I mean, the marriage was so short that people were still congratulating me, you know? And I remember opening the door one day, and it was my mom's friend, and she said, "Oh, the new bride. I haven't been able to, wish you happy marriage yet." And, I didn't know what to say. I mean, it was really, really embarrassing for me.
Embarrassing, but also empowering. Courtney describes that difficult time as a time of deep faith, a time of hope and courage, and a time when her spirit was strong.
The strongest I have ever felt in character, in my character, who I was right after my divorce. I remember just feeling like I was born again.
Readers responded in loud volume, reaching out with their own experiences. Courtney's advice is a message of trust.
Trust that part of you that wants to try again and find happiness. And if you do trust that part of you, it will guide you to places you never even knew you could go, and to happinesses that you never even knew you could feel. So I think every woman has it. Even it can be buried deep, deep, deep inside of her, but it's there, and trusting it you'll fly. I mean, it will be incredible.
And Courtney is flying. She and her husband of 8 years just celebrated the birth of their second child. And they both celebrate the experience Courtney brought to that marriage and hope sharing that experience will strengthen others.
I want them to know that life is beautiful and that I'm a champion of that. No matter what happens and no matter what goes on, that the human soul will always seek out joy. And I just want to record that. I want people to believe that too.
Isn't that well said?
Yeah, it's so fascinating, especially in a culture like this where we value marriage and value family so much. It's just so taboo to even mention the D word.
Right.
And take such strength from her when you see she's gone through it. She recognized there was some mistake, and now she is so much better because of it.
I'm with you. I so admire her courage, and she definitely feels like she's had something to learn from that, and as a result, she has something to share. She feels passionate about sharing that, and as women are responding and will respond through her blog, they're so grateful for her courage in sharing that. And Courtney, of course, not alone. Nearly 50% of women will go through a divorce at some point. If it's not you, it's likely somebody that you know. And according to therapist Julie Hanks, though painful, a divorce is an opportunity to find out you are stronger than you think you are. Julie is joining us now. And wow, coming off of that, I have to tell you, that woman is a champion of overcoming that and happiness. But divorce is so hard. And I say that not only in summary of her experience, I've been there myself. It's rough, it's tough, and she described it well in our discussion, in our interview. She said it's so individual. Every other trial trial I've gone through, I've shared with someone, if it's the death of a family member, other family members more than that, but divorce is so personal.
It is. It's so personal, and it affects everyone differently depending on whether you chose the divorce or it was chosen by your spouse. It's your experience to go through, and I love what she said, that it's an opportunity to find strength that you didn't know was there.
You have some great ideas for people that are struggling with this, might be going through divorce and trying to find that strength from that. The first thing you do is to redefine yourself, and the divorce sometimes might redefine yourself for you.
Right. Well, no longer you have the role of wife. I mean, that is a huge role to take on, and then to give that up and say goodbye to that role is a redefining moment. So now who are you? Now who are you? And it can be an exciting time, along with a lot of pain, but a time to redefine who am I now without that role.
And I think that can be a struggle for so many women, that role of wife or that title of wife is so wrapped up in your identity. It becomes part of who you are. How much of the redefinition, the redefining that you're talking about, how much of that is just time?
Well, I think some of it is time, but then we all know people who get stuck in that not moving on for decades and maybe for their entire life. So time doesn't necessarily heal that pain. We have to actively work toward looking for that hope and that joy that she mentioned. You know, we have to look for that, or we can just stay stuck in the pain.
And, you know, we're talking about how to move on. By no stretch of the imagination are we glorifying divorce. This isn't what we're doing. This happens to so many people, and it's a horrible tragedy, but there are ways to find strength and to move on and become better because of the trial and the strength you've gone through. You say the next one is to refocus, right?
It's a time to reflect and really ask yourself, what did I do to contribute to this? Even if you weren't the one who chose the divorce, there is probably something that you can learn from the demise of the marriage. We all contribute something, and if you're honest, you can say, ooh, next relationship, or I don't want to do X, Y, and Z, or I can see how I subtly pushed my spouse away. It's a time to really look at yourself, and then also look at your values. What's most important to me, and how can I refocus on the things that matter most? If maybe in divorce, if you have children, a lot of times the kids get pushed aside because it can be such a stressful time, all the legal, the financial aspects. So, you know, refocusing on your kids or refocusing on your faith. If you're a spiritual person and that's kind of gone by the wayside, maybe you reclaim that, or your love of reading, or your love of any of your passions, reclaim that. It's a time to do that.
Well, what I'm hearing you say that's so interesting is, I think, especially in the situation, and this is what I can relate to when it's not your choice, you sense you give up a little. Well, you don't give up. Control is taken from you, basically, and that's that loss of control. And I hear you saying you can take control, and you should focus on the things that you can control in your life.
Yes, and you can control how you respond to everything. And divorce is a death. It is a death of a relationship. And in couples therapy, we conceptualize the relationship as an entity. It's a person that no longer exists. That space between no longer exists. So it is a big loss.
Great tips to keep in mind. And this entire week, of course, we're going to be focused on this. Thanks for the tips.